The wind moved through the broken boards of Rosalie Evans' small farmhouse as she hammered the last nail into the roof. The autumn sun in Montana in 1875 was strong, hot on her back, but she did not stop. She could not stop. 3 months had passed since her husband, Thomas, had died, and their small cattle farm would not run itself. Rosalie had decided that she would do every job alone, no matter how hard, no matter how painful. She wiped her forehead with the back of her hand, leaving dirt across her face. At only 26, she felt older than her years. She had been a daughter, a wife, now a widow. The farm, the cattle, the debts, the long cold nights, all rested on her shoulders. Everyone in the nearby town whispered that a woman could not survive alone on this land. Every whisper only made her more determined to prove them wrong. "Miss Evans," a deep voice called from the ground below. "Miss Evans, you should not be up there." Rosalie paused and looked down. Hunter Quinn stood beside his horse, his hat in his hand. He was the foreman of the large Silverhorn ranch next door. His face was sun-browned and strong. Dark hair curled at the back of his neck. Those blue eyes of his always looked like they could see more than a person wanted to show. "I'm almost done, Mr. Quinn," she answered, driving another nail into the wood. "And it is Mrs. Evans, as you know well enough." Hunter put his hat back on and shook his head. "It is dangerous work for anyone alone, Mrs. Evans. My men and I would be happy to help." "I do not need help," Rosalie said quickly. "I have managed fine." "It is not charity to accept help from neighbors," Hunter replied, his voice calm but firm. Hunter was known in the territory as a fair, skilled, and respected man. Some whispered he was too kind. He had taken in 3 orphan boys and raised them as ranch hands. He cut winter wood for widows. Rosalie did not need his kindness. She did not want the warmth he carried so easily. Warmth made a person soften, and she could not afford softness. "If you came to pressure me about selling my cattle, tell Mr. Silverhorn my answer is still no," Rosalie said, climbing down the ladder. Hunter shook his head. "That is not why I came. A storm is moving in fast from the north, the kind that breaks fences and scatters herds. Old Jim says his bones have never been wrong about a storm." Rosalie's heart tightened. Her north pasture had weak fencing. She had planned to fix it next week. "How long do I have?" she asked. "Hours, not days," Hunter replied. "My men are already securing our herds." Rosalie removed her tool belt and kept her eyes away from Hunter's. He stood close now. Tall, broad, smelling of leather and horses. She stepped back to keep her balance, both inside and out. "I will handle it," she said. "Mrs. Evans," Hunter said softly. "I know you want to stand on your own. But Thomas was my friend. He would not want you working yourself into the ground." Hearing Thomas' name from Hunter's lips hurt more than she expected. She looked away before her voice could betray her. "Thank you for the warning," she said. "At least take this," Hunter said, handing her a warm parcel wrapped in paper. "Martha baked extra bread this morning." Quote, Rosalie's empty stomach gave her away with a small growl. She accepted the bread stiffly. "Thank her for me." Hunter mounted his horse. "If you change your mind about that fence, fire 1 shot into the air. We'll come running." He rode off, leaving Rosalie staring after him. She hated the way his concern reached into her heart, like a warm hand she did not ask for. She pushed the thought away and headed for the pasture. The sky darkened quickly. Wind pulled at her hair and clothes. She worked fast, tying wire and hammering posts. Rain began to fall, heavy and cold. Lightning cracked across the sky. Thunder shook the earth beneath her feet. Her horse, Penny, pulled at her rope, frightened by the storm. Rosalie tried to calm her, but another clap of thunder made Penny rear, and her hoof struck Rosalie's shoulder hard. Pain shot through her body, sending her falling into the mud. Rosalie tried to stand, gripping her shoulder. Penny broke free and disappeared into the storm. Rain beat down so hard she could barely see. She knew she could not make it back to the house. She staggered toward the small tool shed for shelter. Inside, rain leaked through the roof. Wind shook the walls, but at least it blocked the worst of the storm. Rosalie curled into a pile of sacks, shivering hard. Pain, cold, and exhaustion pulled her down. Her eyes grew heavy. The sound of hoofbeats outside seemed like a dream. The door flew open and strong arms came through the storm. "Rosalie," Hunter's voice called, sharp with worry. "Dear Lord, you're freezing." He wrapped his coat around her shoulders. His arms were steady, warm, and sure. She wanted to resist, to stand on her own, but her body was too weak. "You need warmth," he said, pulling her into his arms. She tried to speak, but only a whisper came. "My cattle, the fence." "My men are on it," Hunter said. "Right now, you are my only concern." He lifted her gently, holding her close to his chest as if she weighed nothing. Thunder crashed around them as he carried her to his horse. Rosalie could feel his heartbeat against her back. The warmth of him seeped through her cold body. "My house is closer," he said in her ear. "You are safe. Stay awake. Talk to me." She leaned back against him, unable to fight anymore. The storm raged around them, but Hunter's arm never loosened. For the first time since Thomas died, she felt the weight of her life slip, just for a moment, into someone else's hands. And it terrified her how good that moment felt. Rosalie woke to the smell of wood smoke and warmth on her skin. For a moment, she did not know where she was. The soft mattress beneath her, the gentle crackle of a fire, the thick quilt tucked around her, all felt too comfortable to be real. Then the memory rushed back. The storm. The shed. Hunter's arms carrying her through the rain. She tried to sit up and gasped as pain shot through her shoulder. "Easy," Martha said, coming to her side. The older woman had kind eyes and a firm, no-nonsense way about her. "You took a nasty hit. The doctor has already been called." "I cannot stay here," Rosalie said, struggling to rise again. "My farm will still be there when you are healed," Martha said, pressing her gently back into the pillows. "Mr. Quinn's men are taking care of your cattle. You need rest." Rosalie's heart tightened. Depending on others was the one thing she feared most. A knock on the door made her look up. Hunter stepped into the room, removing his hat as he entered. His eyes swept over her, full of concern. "You're awake," he said softly. Rosalie forced herself to sit straighter. "Thank you for the help. I will return home today." Hunter pulled a chair close. "Rosalie, you could have died in that storm." "I was managing," she said. He gave her a look that made her pulse jump. "You call that managing? You were freezing, injured, alone in a leaking shed." She looked away. His voice was not angry, only full of worry, and that made it harder to hold her walls up. "Why do you keep helping me?" she asked quietly. "What do you want in return?" Hunter leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees. "Not everything comes with a price. Sometimes help is just help." Quote. Rosalie did not know how to respond. Before she could try, the doctor arrived. The next hour was painful as he checked and reset her shoulder. She gripped Hunter's hand through the worst of it, and he held on without letting go. "You need 1 full week of bed rest," the doctor ordered when he finished. "No work, no lifting, and someone must check on you every day." Rosalie opened her mouth to argue, but Hunter spoke first. "She'll follow your instructions," he said with calm certainty. "I'll see to it." After the doctor left, Rosalie looked at him, both grateful and uneasy. "I cannot stay here for a week." "Yes, you can," Hunter said, "and you will." "I have imposed long enough." "You did not impose," he interrupted gently. "You needed help." The words hit her deeper than she expected. No one had said them without judgment before. Days passed. Rosalie healed slowly. Martha made sure she ate proper meals and rested. Hunter visited every evening after his work was done at the ranch. At first they spoke only of her farm and the repairs needed, but soon their talks grew easier, warmer. One evening he brought a small wooden box. Inside was a carved chess set. "My father taught me when I was a boy," Hunter said, Thought it might keep your mind busy while your shoulder heals." Rosalie touched the pieces. "I haven't played in years." "I'll go easy on you," he said with a smile. They played for hours. She lost, but it was the first time she had laughed since Thomas died. When Hunter left that night, the room felt too quiet without him. As the days went on, Rosalie found herself waiting for evening to come. Waiting for the sound of his boots in the hall. Waiting for his voice. His kindness was steady, never pushing, never asking for anything. It both comforted her and frightened her. Soon she was strong enough to return home. Hunter drove her in his wagon. When they reached her house, Rosalie stared in shock. The barn roof was repaired. Fallen branches cleared. A stack of chopped firewood waited by the door. Inside, someone had stocked the pantry and placed a vase of wildflowers on the table. She turned to him. "You did all this?" Quote, "My men helped," Hunter said, "because they respect you, and because you don't have to do everything alone." She stood silent, overwhelmed. The repairs, the care, the thought behind all of it struck her harder than the storm ever had. Hunter stepped closer, his voice low. "Rosalie, you do not have to carry everything by yourself, not anymore." For a moment, she let him hold her hands. His warm touch made her heart race. The safety she felt in that brief moment scared her more than any storm. "I need time," she whispered, pulling back. Hunter nodded with understanding. "I'll come by tomorrow if that is all right." After he left, Rosalie walked through her home, feeling something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. It was small, but it was there. And it had Hunter Quinn's face. The next days brought more visits, more chess games, more conversations that lasted longer each evening. He listened to her ideas about the farm, never laughing or dismissing them, but taking them seriously. Slowly, her guard began to crack. Then, one evening, Hunter arrived with news. "The cattle drive to Billings leaves in 2 weeks," he said. "You should send your herd with ours. It will save you money and bring a better price." Rosalie's heart raced. That sale would decide her future. It could save the farm or lose it. She needed to think. Hunter respected her need for time, but his gentle hope was clear. Later that night, long after he left, Rosalie sat alone at her small table, staring at the chessboard they had used earlier. She touched the queen piece with her fingertips. Hunter had shown her a different kind of strength. Not the kind that stood alone, blocking the world out, but the kind that stood together. For the first time, she wondered if she had been strong in the wrong way. What if true strength was letting someone in? Wait, before we move on, what do you think about the story so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to know. The morning of the cattle drive came with a cold, gentle breeze and a pink sky stretching across the Montana plains. Rosalie was dressed early, her shoulders still stiff but healing. She had made her decision. She would ride with the herd to Billings. She needed to see it through herself. Hunter arrived at dawn with horses and supplies. When he helped her into the saddle, his hands were steady, warm, and careful. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and a soft look passed between them that neither could deny anymore. The drive was long. Dust rose in the air as nearly 300 cattle moved across the open land. Rosalie worked hard every day, keeping pace with the men. She earned their respect with her quiet strength. She did not complain, even when the days were hot, long, and tiring. At night, the men gathered around the campfire, sharing food and stories. Rosalie sat a little apart, not because she wasn't welcome, but because her heart felt too full and too confused. Hunter always found a moment to sit with her, bringing her coffee or sharing a quiet word. Each evening with him made the walls inside her heart soften. One night, after the cattle had settled and the men drifted to sleep, Rosalie sat by the fire watching the flames. Hunter joined her, sitting close enough that his shoulder brushed hers. "You did well today," he said. "You kept calm when that group of cattle tried to run." "I learned from watching you," Rosalie said softly. For a moment, neither spoke. The fire crackled between them. The sky was full of stars. Rosalie felt something shift inside her. A question she had been afraid to face rose to the surface. "Hunter," she said quietly. "I need to tell you something." He turned to her, waiting. "When Thomas died, I made a promise to stand on my own. I was afraid that if I leaned on anyone, I would lose myself. I pushed everyone away, thinking it made me strong. But I see now that I was only hiding." Hunter's eyes softened. "You were protecting your heart. There's no shame in that." "I was afraid to trust," she whispered, "afraid that needing someone meant weakness. But you showed me that I don't have to carry everything alone." Hunter reached out and took her hand. She didn't pull away this time. "You are one of the strongest people I know, Rosalie," he said. "Strength isn't just surviving alone. Sometimes it's letting someone stand beside you." She felt her heart open in a way she hadn't allowed since Thomas. Not replacing him, but learning that life could hold more than one kind of love. Days later, they reached Billings. The sale was strong, but the prices had dropped. When the final numbers were counted, Rosalie was short of what she needed to save the farm. The weight of it hit her hard. Hunter walked with her away from the busy stockyard. "I have an idea," he said, "and it's not charity." She looked at him with worry. "Hunter, I don't want your money." He shook his head. "I'm not offering charity. I'm offering a partnership. Your land, my savings. We build the ranch together, equal partners." Her breath caught. "Partners? Only in business?" His eyes held more than business. "If that's all you want, I will accept it. But I hope for more." Rosalie looked at him, really looked. This man had stood beside her, not to take her strength, but to share his. She had hidden behind work, fear, and grief for too long. And now she was ready to step into something new. "I want more, too," she said, her voice soft but sure. Hunter took her hands. "Rosalie Evans, if you let me, I'll stand with you through every storm life brings. Not to take over your life, but to share it." Emotion rose in her chest. For the first time since Thomas' death, the future did not look frightening. It looked full of hope. When he leaned forward, he moved slowly, giving her time to step back if she wished. She didn't. Their lips met in a gentle kiss that deepened with all the words they could not speak. Months passed. The ranch grew. Their partnership turned into love. And one afternoon, as the golden sun lit the land they now worked together, Hunter took Rosalie to the highest hill overlooking their future. He held a small ring, simple and beautiful. "I loved you when you refused my help. I loved you when you finally let me hold you in that storm. And I love you now. Will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes, but this time they were full of joy. "Yes," she said. "Yes, Hunter, I will." He slid the ring on her finger, then pulled her into his arms. Rosalie rested against him, not out of weakness, but because she finally chose rest, love, and a life shared. She had tried to hide behind work, but this cowboy took her hands and showed her she could rest in his arms.